Hello, my name is Keith. Welcome back to the channel. So we're going to do something a little more fun today. We're going to take a slow jam, an R&B song, and not go a mile a minute, not solo, completely crazy. Just do something a little more tasteful with it. So we're going to take a little basic R&B track, and I'll show you all the chords, put it on our looper, and then run through some of those pentatonic shapes and all those different scales that you've probably been learning, and put some practical use to it. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing we want to do is establish our beat. As you heard in the intro here, we have kind of like a typical R&B progression here, and I'll kind of go through it right here real quick. So we're going to start off right here. This is the 7th fret, and we're doing this B. This is a B, but we're going to isolate it down here into these 3 strings. So you take that E-shaped B, and then we're just going to take this triad here, these middle 3 strings starting on the 9th fret of the D string, and you're going to go back into this kind of position here, but you're going to kind of bar these bottom 2 strings, or the top 2 strings here, the B and the E string on the 7th fret, and you're going to get something like this. That's the B we're going to be using. And then we're going to go down to, and I would like to call this, so this is a G sharp minor, which here's your G minor, G sharp minor, but we're going to isolate that down to the top 4 strings here, like that. Then we're going to go up to an E chord. And then this is an F, but we're going to go up to the F sharp. And then we're going to go right back down to the beginning of the progression, that B. All right, so that's that little progression there, but we want to loop it because we want to solo over that, because that's where all the fun is. So I'm going to go ahead and establish the beat on my looper pedal. I'm going to be jumping back and forth here to get it going, so let's go through it right quick. Okay, so I got a little 4/4 beat going here, and just as an example, I'm not going to start the loop yet, but here is the progression. All right, so let's go ahead and record that. Let's see how that sounds. This is the tricky part right here. All right, so I'm going to lower that down a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and see what we could do to solo here. But let's go ahead and figure out what key we're in. We're in the key of B, and we're going to be primarily using the B major pentatonic scale to do these solos that I'm talking about, and we'll go over some of the shapes, and we'll have a little bit of fun with it. So let me throw on some effects here. I'm just going to hit the overdrive here. I already have a little bit of slapback going on with my memory toy, so let me hit that. All right, so now that we have that established, we want to determine what key our song is here. The key of the song, we're starting off with this B right here, and we're going to be rolling with the solos just for the B major scale on this here. B major, B pentatonic, anything you could think of here, not B minor. We're going to do the B major scale. But we have the B here. It's established. And what is our major scale that we have going on here? It starts right here on the 7th fret of the low E string. That's the 1 octave in the straight major scale box right there. Then we also have our diagonal pentatonic there for that B major scale. Or let's go back just to the regular pentatonic scale. Right, then we have the diagonal pentatonic right here. Right, so we have all those established. Those are the notes that we're going to be using for this song. So let's go ahead and throw it on, and we'll just play around, and I'll kind of explain what I'm doing in little bits and pieces and chunks here. Let's see what it sounds like. All right, so that's enough of that. So basically, what I'm doing there is I'm just running through the major pentatonic scale and the major scale diagonally across the board here and just keeping it pretty simple. We got a pretty slow, chill song going on here, and I don't want to fill it up too much, so I'm just kind of letting the mood take it where it goes there with that B major scale here. So what am I doing here? So I'm going to keep the music off here and kind of roll through some of those notes that I did there. And again, starting with that B major scale, I'm going to get that. I'll go over again. That major scale right there, and then it continues on. But this is going to be the first note of that little solo that I did there, and that first note is the octave, right? These are both B's, so this is a B, right? So this is a B here, and if I do the B arpeggio here, that's going to give me that first set of notes. Again, all in that scale, that same exact scale that we were looking at there. So another note that we're playing here is right down here. This is the third, I believe, or the second. So if we start here with the root, 1, 2, and then the third, then the fourth. So we're using the root, second, third, and the fourth. And then we're sliding right up here, back up to that fourth. And then what do I do next here? So, and continuing in that vein, now that I did that little arpeggio here, I'm going to kind of use my diagonal pentatonics. And, you know, you could start here on the solo. But this is where I end up here on that diagonal pentatonic if I want to keep on going there. So all those notes, again, are in this major scale for the B. No, right up here, actually. Right? So all that is in that little diagonal pentatonic of that B chord, and you could mess around with that, and just I would highly suggest actually doing just that. Mess around with it, make mistakes, do all that kind of stuff, come up with different little riffs and little things based off of that scale. Now, you don't have to be stuck right up here, too, because we could take the whole cage system and do a different inversion. So we have that B chord right here. Instead of playing the B here, you could think about it as the B up here, and then you could start your pentatonics from here, right? What is it? And that'll be the same thing as this, right? And let's say we wanted to take this shape, and we don't want to start from there, although we can. We could take that diagonal pentatonic, or we could do that G shape of that note. So we have the B right there, and then the G shape B right here. And the bonus of that, that looks so familiar to the minor pentatonic scale that you play right up one fret here. The A minor pentatonic, everybody knows it, right? But if we have the G shape, it's the same thing, but your root starts on the 7th fret, right? If we transferred that over here, same exact notes, different inversion of that particular cage shape or that particular chord, and you could do things down there as well. It's limitless. That's kind of the point that I'm trying to get across here. If you know your cage shapes and you know your pentatonics that are associated with the cage shapes, then you could move it across the fretboard. And to keep it even more simple than that, you could take that same B major scale, B pentatonic scale, and use it for that whole little progression that we have there. I think that whole progression is a 1-6-5-4, something like that. You can quote me, definitely quote me, because I probably got it wrong, and I would love to hear that in the comments. But that is kind of what I wanted to illustrate here as far as taking a simple song, simple progression, putting it on a looper, practice it, make mistakes, record yourself, listen to it. If you thought it sounded good, when you listen to it the next day, it's not going to sound as good as you thought it did. Guarantee you that is the case. That's the case with every single one of my songs, every single one of my videos. Then you get to go back, analyze what you did wrong, and then try to fix it. If you don't do that, you're just going to be making the same mistakes over and over and over again, and you don't want to hear that. And if you're living with anybody else, they don't want to hear that. If you go to a guitar store and pick up a new guitar and you want to practice it in the store, they don't want to hear that. Keep the mistakes to yourself, play them to yourself, listen to them, and iterate on it. Get better. That's the point of it. Get a looper, get better. Practice, 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 practice. If you pick up your guitar one time a day, whether it's for 1 minute or 10 hours, if you get that 1 minute in, that's more than no minutes. So just remember that. Practice it. And you can get a long way just by practicing, and especially if you listen to yourself. That's a great tip that I think everybody should do themselves. But I digress from that whole thing and that whole spiel, because I just think this whole thing is just, it's fun. It's just all fun to play. And you could throw a little looper on there and you could just sit here for hours making mistakes, getting a cool groove going, and if all else fails, at least you made yourself happy, right? And that's what it's all about. You live a happy life, and that's what this instrument does for me, and I hope that's what it does for you. So I hope that little thing helped, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night or wherever you are, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks.